Oh
I have a
yeah,
tank
so
top
much
on.
fun.
I have a tank top on at 8:30 in the morning.
I
It's so warm here. I'm so happy.
What's warm? I don't understand warm. It's hot.
If you struggle with product ideas, sometimes it's the struggle in your own head. It's not actually the logistics, the creation, the setup, or anything else. So
Yeah.
please just go with the flow. We're going to be saying this a lot. Trust the process.
Mhm.
Trust the process. I went into this kicking and screaming years ago, and
Oh yeah.
when my coach was like, just do it, just do it. You know, she was like my mom, would you just do it? And I finally did do it. And then, yeah, it was uncomfortable in the beginning. Yeah, I second guessed myself all the way through. Yeah, I questioned if my product was good enough, if my people would like it, if my people would want it. No, not all of them were a success. Yes, there
No.
were quite a few I had to tweak
Yes.
and correct and make it more user-friendly. But until you launch that first product, you will not be able to come up with the best product.
Yep.
So you have to do that launch. You have to go through the entire process so you can see if you're on the right page or
Yep.
if you're completely missing the mark.
Please trust the process because it does take some time. And I think that we've both shared, but we'll continue to share that our first products were flops. And I think that if you even go through and ask anybody who's like ultra successful, sometimes they still have product flops. Like
I still have product flops.
Yeah, it still happens. You never know. Your first product is the product that you want, that you know your audience needs, but it was messaged wrong, or you didn't have a sales page and people were put off. Maybe the price was too low, because I refuse to believe that that price on your signature course would be too high when you're first starting out. Maybe you didn't have it set up in a way that people wanted to buy from it. Like, there's a lot of different things that go on in the back end. It doesn't mean that your product is bad. It doesn't mean that your ideas are bad. There's a lot of different variables that can go into a product succeeding or having a flop for the first launch, and then you just revisit it. So when you're making this work the first time, it does take some time, but it is worth it to make the work.
Talking about products, the first thing you need to do is decide on the product, and so that you can get busy creating it. So we have a little workbook. It's just 3 pages.
It goes through exactly what we said for you guys to do when it comes to actually making your product. So to recap really quick, last time in the last video, we talked about knowing your audience and how that's the first step in the product creation. Because if you just start with I have an idea to make a product, it feels like you're fitting a square peg into a round hole. You're building it backwards. It's kind of like building like a Lego set. If anybody has boys, it's like building a Lego set just from looking at the picture without actually having the detailed instructions. You're building it backwards. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we have an audience who's there, who's ready to buy. We're thinking about their problems, their struggles, so that we can offer a solution to them, a transformation that they want. I even have my little visual aid. You're helping them out of the hole that they're in. But you have to understand who this person is to understand the hole that they're in, to understand the help that you can give them. Otherwise, again, we don't want to be making up problems that people would have so that we can give them our product. So last week we talked about that. This week, we're actually going to dive into it.
Cracks knuckles. So logistically, how does this work? You know me, I'm a logistical person. I want step by step. So the very first thing that you do, so you go to Google Analytics and you start researching, because here's the thing. If you're going to create a product, you need to create it for the blog post that is bringing in the most traffic. Now, disclaimer, if your number one blog post is not related to your niche, like it's one of those fluke things that you did years ago and it's bringing in traffic, do not do that blog post. Make sure you pick a blog post that matches your niche, something that you can create a product for. So go to Google Analytics and either find your top blog post that is currently bringing in the most traffic, or the top blog post that brought in the most traffic last summer or at the end of last summer. So for me, because I filled this out this morning, guys, I literally did this morning in like 15 minutes. I came up with 2 new products. That's how easy this is. So if you're struggling with this, don't get upset that it's not easy for you. It wasn't easy for me in the beginning. We're just saying this is the level you're going to be at the more you create these products. It's the same process over and over and over again. I see that I have a viral blog post. I'm like, I need to find a way to help my readers and make more money with this blog post. So I put in an opt-in that grows my email list, and then I turn that opt-in into a product. So you want to find your number one performing blog post, and you could do that on Google Analytics. Some people use Pinterest Analytics. I prefer Google. That's where all my traffic comes from. So I go there.
One thing really quick about Google Analytics versus Pinterest
Please.
Analytics, may I? We will not go down the Pinterest rabbit hole, but I will say this. Google Analytics, if you have it installed correctly on your site, is going to be your actual barometer for where your traffic is coming from. Pinterest is great for telling you things like what pins you have that are doing well, but it's a lot more difficult to find actual results from it, like how much page views you're actually getting from Pinterest directly. Being on Pinterest Analytics is more difficult to read than Google Analytics, because at the end of the day, those beautiful like 2.5 million page views that Pinterest says that I get, or impressions or whatever it is, monthly visitors, Google Analytics begs to differ. So that's where we want to be focusing on, because I can't go to AdThrive and be like, Pinterest says I get 2.5 million. That doesn't work.
If you're brand new and you don't have SEO traffic yet, then you do probably want to go to Pinterest, because odds are that's where your traffic's coming from. So even though it's not super accurate, it is a good starting place for newer bloggers. But I think most of us are getting at least some traffic from Google Analytics. So absolutely go there and look there, or go to both. If you want to go to, if you don't like the results you're getting from Google Analytics, by all means, go to Pinterest. We're just saying
you can see where your traffic comes from, like Pinterest on Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Or like if you have things
or Facebook.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that all from Google Analytics, which is why we say to go to Google Analytics first.
Blah, blah, blah. Spend some time on this, you guys. Come up with the top performing posts and pick the one that you're excited to create a product for.
Find your post that you're fired up about.
Yeah.
It could be number 3. It doesn't have to necessarily be the number 1 post. If number 1 on your site is about meal planning and you're like, I have nothing to contribute to that today. I have nothing that I want to make about that. But number 3 is all about how to make frugal fun. Now that sounds like something I can get behind. Then do that.
Yeah, because my number 1 performing post every single summer is how to keep your house cool without air conditioning. Honest to God, that is my number 1 performing post. Am I going to make a product for that? No, I'm not. You couldn't pay me to make a product for that. But my next most popular post has to do with chickens, and I have no problem making a product for chickens. So yeah, you find a blog post that gets you excited, because if you're not excited to make it, it's not going to be probably successful. And blogging's supposed to be fun. So you make the rules. It's your business.